You are watching Trends. Every Thursday, we take a peek at the future to see what's ahead of us. Today we're looking at why Billionaire is the new millionaire. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello, Aluxers. In this video, we're taking a look at how the perception of wealth has shifted in the past few decades and how we've seen a boom in wealth throughout the world. So much so that by the end of this video, we plan on making a strong case why Billionaire is the new millionaire in today's economy and how the race for the first trillionaire has already begun. If you like our Sunday videos, you're gonna love this one. How do you measure wealth? Something interesting we plan on getting out of the way as early as we can is that wealth hasn't always been measured in money the way we do it today. Although multiple precious metals have been traded for ages, people used to measure wealth in commodities of their time. This meant from cattle to armies to slaves and ultimately gold coins. For the sake of this argument, we'll be discussing modern history, not taking into account kings and rulers. These days, we found a more simple and straightforward way of measuring wealth through the power of net worth valuations. Basically, how much money could you have in your bank account at today's market value, converted into widely accepted currency? The first millionaire. The first time the term millionaire was ever used to describe someone's wealth happened with John Law, 1671 to 1729. He was the founder of the Mississippi Company, a trading corporation holding a business monopoly in French colonies in North America and the West Indies. At the time, land development and speculation started going into a frenzy, which pushed the value of property way up high. It was one of the earliest economic bubbles the world has ever witnessed. When people tried to figure out just how rich Mr. Law was, there wasn't anything available. So a new term was invented specifically to describe John Law's wealth. At one time, he was worth well north of $1 million francs. During that time, he was the richest businessman the world had ever seen. He even named the city of New Orleans after one of his early financial backers. The first American millionaire came a lot later in the early 1800s, a man by the name of John Jacob Astor. Less than a century later, somebody added a digit to this net worth competition. The first billionaire. Before we get into John D. Rockefeller's story, we want you to think about what being a billionaire actually means in terms of wealth. Basically, you have to make $1 million 1,000 times to cross that line. Rockefeller did it in 1916. That's just 100 years ago. At that point in time, he was personally worth around 2% of the United States economy. He achieved this by founding the Standard Oil Company, which eventually became a domineering monopoly in the oil industry. He's the man who fueled the country. We've covered his story on our channel in the past, so feel free to check that out. At that time, nobody even thought of the idea that someone could gather this much fortune. While even the very few elites aspired to achieve and maybe hold on to their millionaire titles, new titans of industries were replacing old royalty money with fortunes they've made through businesses and innovation. By the early 1900s, when John D. Rockefeller was becoming the first billionaire in history, there's an estimate of around 4,000 millionaires in the U.S. alone, and that number skyrocketed since, because more and more people have been leveraging the change in economy, the technological innovations, and the opportunities of the times to build fortunes for themselves. Where we are today. An international study revealed that in 1996, there were only 230 billionaires in the entire world. Today, 23 years later, there are over 2,750 billionaires. That's an 11 times increase, and get ready for this. Currently, there are 36 million millionaires in the world, according to the latest report by Credit Suisse. On average, at least one person becomes a billionaire every day, and every year, approximately 2.5 million people join the ranks of millionaires. Between 2017 and 2018, we've seen a massive jump from 2,043 to 2,754 billionaires recorded, and that number is growing at an accelerating rate. It's never been easier or more accessible to have at least 7 figures in your bank account. Even better, there's never been more access to learning how these people got to where they are today. If this is something you want to do in your life, we recommend you start with the basics. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, the father of financial education, and Principles by Ray Dalio, the multi-billionaire who's been making the super rich richer since forever. These are 2 of our favorite books, which we'll link to in the description. But even better, if you go to Alux.com/freebook and sign up, you can get either of them as an audiobook for free, thanks to our partnership with Audible. How are they getting rich? Technology and the rise of developing markets are the main 2 driving forces behind the massive increase in wealth we are seeing all around the world. Whenever a new technology is developed, side industries pop up around it and grow alongside of it. An example, Facebook and social media became a thing. Some people created products for said industry. Some people marketed services for that industry, and others find new and interesting opportunities. Or in India, Geo becomes a thing. More and more people have mobile access to the internet. A brand new marketplace has just opened to the world. This has always been happening, but we've never had this accelerated rhythm of innovation driven by competition and capital gains. Where is the wealth? We're seeing developing countries finally develop, which boosts the economy, which raises the middle class, thus pushing the rich class into millionaires and billionaires. In the last 4 years, the number of Chinese billionaires more than doubled, from 152 in 2014 to 388 in 2018. The same thing happened with Indian billionaires, from 56 in 2014 to 117 in 2018. Although China and India are leading percentage-wise, the United States leads through sheer stats, with a record number of 680 billionaires. While almost every industry is booming in the developing parts of the planet, the highest number of billionaires in the US are in the tech and financial sectors. Wealth creating happens to be concentrated around certain geographies, which seem to be good for business. So much so that 1 out of every 11,600 people in San Francisco is a billionaire right now. The increase in the number of billionaires has brought with it a tsunami of capital, and it's driven both the cost of wages, of property, and the cost of living higher. Technically speaking, 1 in 20 Americans is a millionaire. The same ratio happens in Switzerland, whereas in Monaco, 1 in 56 people has a personal net worth of over $30 million. So, what happens when everybody becomes a millionaire? The 0.0001%. You've heard of the 1%, but they're not really as rich as you think they are. If you earn in excess of $32,400 per year, congratulations, you're officially in the 1% of the world. But that's not where you want to be, right? You're looking to be rich. That's where people enter a new bracket called ultra-high net worth individuals. These are the folks who have a personal net worth of over $30 million. They account for approximately 0.003% of the world's population. As of 2017, there were 226,450 individuals designated as UHNW. But what does it take to get there? Well, let's take a look at America, for example. In order to be in the 1% of earners there, you need to make around $430,000 per year. To make it in the 0.01%, that's the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. You'd need around $12 million a year. Let's push this further to make it the 0.001%. Your yearly income should be around $60 million. Now we're talking rich people. But then there's another layer. The one of the 0.0001%, the real wealthy. These people are so rich, they shift economies and drive what is known as the luxury industry, something we've been sharing with you for these past few years. Because of the abundance of wealth created, we are dealing with an inflation of buying power. But what does that mean? Well, it's pretty simple actually. The most expensive home in the world 15 years ago was worth less than $100 million. As of 2014, the most expensive house in the world is now Antilia, with a whopping price of $1 billion. We remember 13 years ago when the Bugatti Veyron was announced with a price tag of $1.7 million. The world was up in arms about the ludicrous price they were asking for the car, yet this year, the Bugatti La Voiture Noire sold for $18 million. These prices are not based on the cost of material goods, but they cater to a specific demographic, the richest of the rich, the 0.0001%, who don't care what they're paying as long as nobody else can have it. These products are priced according to how much money these people have. When whales like them enter economies, they can have the power to change pricing dynamics by setting the bar higher than it was ever set before. That's why a 3-bedroom flat in central London costs at least $10 million these days. Conclusion. If you follow this trend of both the increase in earnings, the increase in prices, and the devaluation of the currency we're seeing as a result of the super rich spending more and more on luxury goods, we can certainly say that being a millionaire has become associated more with the middle class than with the rich. We're closing in to a point where unless you have a net worth of at least $1 million, you'll be considered poor. Question: if you were to check your real estate market, how many luxury properties could you buy for $1 million cash today? Even better, what would this amount buy you in the same location the year you were born? We've personally seen real estate prices skyrocket in our geographies, and $1 million isn't buying much these days. As a thank you for watching this analysis until the end, you get a glimpse into the future as a bonus. The first trillionaire. One of the reasons why Billionaire is the new millionaire is that we're soon going to have a new breed of wealthy individual. The world is expecting its first trillionaire somewhere between 2040 and 2050. At the current rate, the race is between the likes of Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma, and innovators like Elon Musk. But 20 to 30 years is long enough to have new entrants come into the race. Technology, commerce, and new fuel are the most likely industries where the new trillionaire could be coming from. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.